Hello, everyone, and welcome back. So we'll try to summarize extremely briefly things that we've seen so far, and I hope the hands-on part of the tutorial was useful. And actually, one of the things that I shouldn't forget to say is that any feedback that you have, feel free to reach us, and you'll have links in the website, but also in the slides. Last slide will be different ways of contacting us. So hopefully we've motivated the relevance of transparency in AI and of explainability, and why it is important to go beyond the common applications that you can see in the slide, like credit score or prison sentence. And in terms of that, it's not enough to have a surrogate that provides an explanation, but that's of course a first step. But what we definitely need is to be able to tailor those explanations and to understand what's going on within those. And also that, as engineers, we need to have that certainty that the tools that we use, we understand well. And for that reason, we presented, and you've been using FAT forensics for the last hour and a half. And with the idea of developing a piece of software that goes well beyond what you'll find attached to most papers these days. And as a piece of software that you can rely on, and that is modular and flexible. And those two principles are the ones that we try to make the most of in order to allow the user to specify exactly what they want. The two modes of operation in the end, I mean, we do research. We are based at the university, so the research one that creates visualizations that are useful for papers is great. But we also give the opportunity for people to deploy their own solutions. And for that, is particularly important that everything that we develop is open source. So as we said, if there is a message to take home today, is that it is not enough to just use a surrogate that you find online and that you try with your data. So what we want to motivate is that there is a need for you to understand the different blocks that are involved and to pick the ones that are relevant to you. And that's why this framework, Blimey, is something that we are very, very keen on, that in a way you're able to interpret your surrogate too. And we've shown quite a few examples, but yeah, you'll find quite a few more if you go online and check the different user guides. Finally, just as a summary of things that you've just done, just to remind you that the 4 Python notebooks that you've been playing with, they will remain online, and actually with all the material that we've presented. So feel free to use it at any time. And just to remind you of the 2 main things that actually we've been discussing throughout. Just try to remember that when you use any of these tools, you remember that when you do discretization, when you do binarization, when you do data sampling, those are things that are completely up to you, the way that you do them. And we should encourage people to more and more build their own bespoke surrogate explainers. Otherwise, the paper that Kacper referenced, Cynthia's paper on the motivation for using only interpretable models, would be the only way forward. So in terms of us, our next steps is to keep building on this material. We will extend the user guides so that this becomes easier and easier to adopt. And also something similar to what we did with Lime, we'll do with Anchor, to try to decompose that into the building blocks that then people can adapt to their own problems. And you'll find an implementation of Anchor within the library. And we really believe in this idea of having notebooks and user guides attached to most of the things that we do. So that's something that we will definitely be working on. And the last couple of slides is just a summary of different resources that we found, well, that we think will be useful for you in the future. So the first one probably is the main one, which is the GitHub account for the repository for fat forensics, and actually most of the things you can find from there. And then, yeah, there are a few papers. First one describing the overall approach and the design of fat forensics, and the second one being more on the software package itself and the different contributions in terms of Blimey framework, the tree-based surrogates, and the interpretable representations and their meaning. Sorry, this final one is how to get in touch with us. Of course, yeah, same way that you were using the Slack channel now, but also particularly important, yeah, we rely a lot on issues being reported on GitHub. So please feel free to use them. And yeah, that's it from us. I don't know, Kacper, Alex, Peter, whether you want to add anything else. Otherwise, just to say thanks to everyone for sticking until the very last minute of the conference. We really appreciate it. And yeah, thanks.
Thanks, Raul, and also thanks to Kacper and Alex who did the main work today and also the main work on the toolbox. It looks to me that Alex and Kacper are actually still busy discussing on Slack, which is a great thing. So they may not be listening, or they may be. But if you're there, Kacper and Alex, thanks very much. And I think this is a really valuable resource that you have built, and we're really hoping that this will be useful to more people, and that we can build a kind of community around this, because there's still a lot of work to be done. So on that note, we are just before 5 o'clock. So I think we all deserve a break and perhaps a drink. And I hope you enjoyed the conference. I like many of us, I haven't been able to see as much as I would like, but there have been a number of really interesting events. We will put the recording on the events website, so you will be able to find it back. So this is my clock beating 5. So I think on that note, I'm going to stop the recording and stop the meeting, and hope to hear from you about your work in machine learning and on explainability. So bye from us, and have a good weekend.